What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers, and break down what's happening to the overall market moving forward, what's going on with the fear and greed index, and some very important factors that will affect the market and how we move going into next week. But before I begin the devil's information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo and deposit $100, you are guaranteed 7 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon in just about a couple of weeks. Anyways, for the market right now, we're seeing something very interesting developing on Tesla and SPY. The market is showing some life for a little bounce going into next week. But although nothing is guaranteed and there's no guarantee this will last forever, there is still some more potential in these charts that I am seeing. So I want to break down why that is, break down some very important details about them and how things could end up panning out later on as we have important stuff coming out. Look at the market. We actually saw the market rebound a bit, despite the fact that the data that came in wasn't really the best, in my opinion, but it wasn't really enough for the bears to step in and kind of win. So I was looking at economic data. I just wanted to call out. So let me just show it to you real quick. The data that came out today was not the best, just to be honest with everyone. If you look at services prices, this is harder than expected right here, showing signs that inflation could continue to go up. And other factors are also not looking as great. There's more economic contraction. The labor market is also slowing down a bit. However, when it comes to the way the market interpreted all of this, the market doesn't really care all the time about data. The market will do its thing. And the best thing to do is just follow the price action, because what happened was the market makers knew there were a lot of shorts expiring for the week, and they decided to just continue to squeeze them as they've done many, many times in the past. Now, with the market still developing like this and with the market choosing to continue to push, despite some warnings we got from the Fed, and not to mention not the best of data sets, I just want to say that the market still has potential and we could continue to go a little bit higher looking at the charts. Going into Monday, which is going to be next week, we have the 3-month and 6-month bill auctions coming out in the morning. Then we have a couple of Fed speakers, so very minor data, which might not affect the market too much. Then we also have Kashkar giving a speech on Tuesday. He tends to be one of the biggest hawks. And the rest of the data is kind of minor until we get to like Friday when we have the Michigan consumer sentiment data. But everything else is kind of minor, at least for the week. There's not any like crazy data coming until like 2 weeks from now, until we get to like mid-May. So that's going to be very, very key for us, at least for the time being. For earnings, I just want to call out that on Monday we have Spirit, we have Berkshire Hathaway, and just a few others. We also have Palantir after the market closes. On Tuesday, we have the one and only Walt Disney, Disney announcing their earnings, Crocs after that, and Nikola. After the market closes, we have Rivian, Upstart, and just a few others. And then for Wednesday, we have Uber, Shopify, and etc. Then we also have Airbnb and ARM, at least later on. For Thursday, we have Roblox and just very, very minor earnings, especially for Friday, too. So nothing too crazy, at least for the week. The majority of the big tech earnings are done with, and the rest of these earnings may not affect us as much, except on Monday, we have Berkshire Hathaway's earnings, which could have a bigger effect. Now, that's it for earnings and data. Just a couple more things I want to talk about. Right now, the market's in a very, very critical place. Market momentum is back to greedy. We're seeing bulls stepping in, defending their positions, and we're seeing the S&P 500 SPX continuing to push a bit higher. On top of all of this, I just want to call out that look at the put and call option positioning. We're still at neutral right now in terms of the way we're moving. We are dipping a little bit because we're starting to see the puts being closed and more call buying that's happening, which is helping the equities market improve at least a little bit. Market volatility is kind of neutral right now, and I find this very significant because the VIX has a big gap to fill below, and there's a very high probability we're going to fill the gap next week. Why would the VIX dip more? It may be because the market's going to push a little bit more. So yes, guys, the market does have more potential to push higher. We're actually holding it very, very well. But like I said before, I wouldn't expect this to last as the VIX is approaching some key support. When the VIX hits the like 12 to 13 area, we do tend to see it bounce. I do see the VIX potentially dipping a bit more first, but then things could change after that. I'll worry more about that later on. So on top of all of this, I want to call out that Tesla has been getting a lot of criticism for their supercharger layoffs. And the thing is, Tesla kind of priced a lot of this in. And this news was a little bit negative. We did see Tesla dip a bit, but Tesla got bought back up. And it wasn't really enough to cause Tesla to really tank. So that's a good piece of news, I would say. The fact that Tesla has not really tanked after this news came out, it's still holding up decently in a very important range. But I do want to say that I don't really like this move. I really wish that Tesla could have held at least a part of their supercharger workforce, because that's going to be very important for them, because there are going to be companies all over America that are going to be sharing the supercharger network with Tesla, and developing it and expanding it is still going to be key for them. Musk said in a tweet that they're going to do this very slowly. I wish Tesla could have done better on this end, but it is what it is. We just have to continue nonetheless. So it is very important that Tesla continues to grow despite this. They maintain their growth, at least for the different networks out there, because customers from other companies like GM are going to be stepping in and also using their superchargers. So Tesla has to once again continue the growth and continue to help offsets the amount of demand for their products right now. On top of all of this, we had a 75 million in volume, not the best of volume. Tesla was kind of flat for the day, but we're still holding up well. Short volume is increasing as shorts are piling into Tesla, and we're starting to see a little shift right there. On top of this, we saw some more of these different analysts, such as Cantor Fitzgerald. They came out and they gave this basically an overweight rating, which is good news for Tesla, saying that Tesla has more upside potential. Moving forward, the price price ratio is tipping a bit. Tesla lost a little bit of strength these last couple of days. But we'll have to see if anything shifts for next week. We also have a tendency of being green about only about 53% of the time on Mondays. We do tend to be more green on Tuesdays. We tend to see more volatility at 10 a.m., 1 p.m., and also during the final 2 hours of the day. And that's all I'm really seeing for Tesla for now. But although we were looking for more volatility, we did get some positive ratings from some analysts. So what's going on with the charts? Well, I do want to note that when we zoom out and look at the 4-hour time frame, Tesla is gaining momentum right here. It's actually range trading. The last 4 days have been just completely flat. So it's going to make a big move depending on which way we break. If Tesla were to lose 178, 180, then we have 178 coming. And then below that, we have the 175 range. Losing that would be bearish. And if we're bullish, we want to see it break past 182. Breaking that would push us all the way up towards 186. If that breaks, we have an imbalance to fill up towards 190. What does the chart look like? Honestly, guys, we have an inverse head and shoulders like structure developing here. We have like a left shoulder here. We have a head down here in the right shoulder. And the buyers are still kind of gaining the edge. That we did have a slight green. They'd say we held above 180 nicely and our 20 EMA. So I favor Tesla may dip a bit during the pre-market session on Monday to start pushing a little bit higher. I think we could make an attempt to push into like the mid 180s, a little bit higher once again. Now, the news that comes out for Tesla could be very unpredictable, so I can't make any promises, especially if we get a bad piece of news that we don't expect. But I can tell you this. So far, the chart does have potential to just maintain this sideways price action. See another pop towards 185 to 186 again before it comes back down. So I do anticipate it's going to push a little bit higher and come back and still kind of shuffle in this range for now. But it could try to push a little bit higher, at least for the time being. For SPY, I'm seeing something very similar. SPY managed to hold up and invalidate the head and shoulders that was developing right here. If we had rejected off 507, we could have seen a bigger drop, but we actually broke past it. This was a trap for retail. And now we have this imbalance to fill. So we have the 512 area as our resistance. I think that SPY might shuffle between 510 and 512 for some time, and eventually break out towards 515 as the next target. Watch 512, then 515 as resistance levels. Watch 510 and 507 as support. I see potential for this to go a little bit higher. For the QQQ, we have an imbalance to fill all the way up here towards 439. If we manage to break past 437, look for 439 to 440 is our next resistance zone. We're currently testing resistance at 436.5 to 437. For support, if we lose 433, we're going to be dipping all the way down to 431. But I favor this pushing a little bit higher. I see potential in this chart. For Aapl, we're kind of range bound right now. We have support currently at the 182 area. We have resistance at about 185. We've been going back and forth for a couple of hours, and we'll have to see what happens from here. But there is potential for Aapl to try to bounce just a little bit. For Nvda is also looking bullish to me, at least temporarily. So right now we have resistance at this 890 area. I think we could actually break this since we're actually above this area right here. So the next target would be all the way up towards 900. I think we could push closer to 900. We'll see if you reject or not. Look for a gap down tomorrow, not tomorrow, on Monday, then a push back up, and I think we could get very close to 900. The last time we hit 900 to 908, however, we did get a big rejection, so be open-minded for that possibility. But once again, guys, nonetheless, I do see upside potential for the Nvidia stock, which could help the QQQ in the overall market. With that being said, for a few more, Super Micro is showing some life right here. Just be mindful of the fact that there's a possible head and shoulders developing right here. So there's a possible head and shoulders right here that could develop, but it depends on how we react to 800. So it's going to push a little bit higher. We'll see if we get a rejection off 800 or not. If we break past it, we're easily going to 814 or higher. So watch and see, but I do see a bit more upside potential to at least 800 coming very soon. Rivian is looking pretty good right now. We could actually push a little bit higher towards 10.25. I'll be looking for that. Coinbase is looking pretty decent. I know it's down just a little bit, but I could see this kind of forming like a wedge. I could see an attempt to get up to the 232 area. Amazon's looking a bit more bullish. You're going to be looking for this thing to potentially break out as well. We have a nice inverse head and shoulders. I could be looking for about 188 to 190 very soon. For Meta, we could also push a little bit higher towards 457. I think this could push a little higher as well. So I see potential in this. What else is a little bit more positive for the bulls is when you look at the VIX, this is looking bearish. We have like a head and shoulders that's formed. It's kind of sinking, looks very distributive. And we have a gap to fill all the way down here in the 12.9 area. So I think the VIX might actually pop and then eventually drop down to fill this gap. And then once we hit the 12.5 area, historically, the VIX does love to bounce off of that. So once we approach that support, there could be a big rejection in the market coming. So just be mindful of that. For now, the VIX is going to likely fill this gap and bounce. So watch for that very, very carefully. For the 10-year treasury yield returning back to bearish, we lost our 50 EMA. We have an imbalance to fall all the way down to 4.35, and I do see it kind of dipping a little bit more, which could be bullish for the market. For the dollar index, we're also dipping a little bit. As you guys can see, it's been on a bit of a downtrend, and the dollar could actually dip a little bit more. So with the dollar kind of rejecting and losing the 200 EMA, this is more positive for the bulls for the market. With that being said, there is some life in Tesla. It could attempt to try to rebound a bit. However, we have to watch for confirmation, see what the charts give us, and also watch and see what happens to the overall market moving forward. Although there's potential for Tesla, we just have to be very patient and open-minded and see how things go. Right now, I think that with the potential that's developing, we need to wait, but just let it be clear that there is more potential upside so long as there's no major bad news that happens over the weekend. So we'll wait and see, guys. I want to thank you all for listening. Please have an absolutely incredible rest of the day. I'll see you guys very soon in the next one. Thanks again, guys, and peace out.